What up, cucks? And happy reboot up in this. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. The weekly AEW review up in this piece. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to say that the Hater reboot was a huge success. In my opinion, I got like 20 more subscribers, which is a 10% increase up in this bitch. The most popular video appears to be 25 Reasons Neckbeards Suck. And let's be real. When that kind of stuff happens, I recognize and I answer. So expect more videos like that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Also, people like the 25 Reasons Why John Cena Rules. Someone asked me to do a video called 25 Reasons Why Jinder Mahal Rules. And because he does rule, I'm probably going to do that real soon. Maybe tonight. I don't know up in this, you know? But for now, let's talk about this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, aka The Cuck Show. There was some good and a lot of bad. So let's get to it. First of all, the show starts with people already ready for a match. It was Adam Page and Kenny Omega versus the Lucha Cucks. This was like horrible. I mean, every time I think a match is bad in AEW, they just put on another bad one, you know, that takes the cake. The match itself was like decent from an in-the-ring perspective. Like, obviously, like all of these guys can kind of go. I mean, I'm not going to say that they're not athletic or they're not wrestlers, except for, of course, Pentagon, who looks fatter than ever today. He just looked like a fat pig today, man. Those tight clothes ain't doing him justice. He's just a fat little guy. Like, there's nothing really, I mean, he's got tattoos and a scary mask, but he's just a fat, relatively short dude. So, you know, he needs to lose some weight if you ask me up in this, right? So anyways, the reason the match was complete garbage was because at some point, Pentagon Zero, or whatever, Pentagon Junior Dark Zero, Penta M, Cero Miedo, he takes about 5 minutes of the match to take off his glove, throw it to Phoenix, and do Cero Miedo for the third out of like 17 times he did the Cero Miedo taunt, which is overplayed and stupid. You know, this combined with Kenny Omega's propensity to do a taunt every 30 seconds made this match just a complete goof fest. You know, it was just stupid. Yeah, like he did the Cero Miedo and Hangman Page just waited there and just took it. Like any kind of a real athlete, especially any kind of real man, would just slap him in the face and say, I don't have time for your games, man. So I'm hoping something happens with Adam Page because he keeps winning and JR keeps saying that he doesn't look the same since you lost to Jericho. What do you mean doesn't look the same? What did he look like before? Like he wasn't this John Cena type guy. He was a guy that would win a match and then lose two, or win two matches and then lose one. He's a 50-50 jobber, you know what I mean? So he looks exactly the same to me as he did in ROH and in Ring of Honor, and New Japan, I should say. He's just a guy that like he's like a mid-carder, you know, for them, which means he's a complete jobber in real life. And I have a lot of issues now with Adam Page. Firstly, because of the fact that like they want to pretend he's a big deal when he clearly isn't. And two, more importantly, this idea that like Adam Page somehow is like unique at all, you know? He says cowboy shit and does the same exact moves that like Sammy Guevara or Kip Sabian would do. Like there's nothing cowboyish about him. There's nothing special about him, you know? What differentiates this guy from every other AEW jobber that they got? At the end of the video, I'll go over like the few people that I think actually have some sort of differentiator, because I would look for people that have character, but since none of them have any character, we're going to have to look at some differentiators up in this. We're going to have to change the game, motherfuckers. So, anyways, after Pentagon does the Cero Miedo, and Hangman just wastes their 3 minutes for him to take off his glove and do the spot, which is stupid enough already, Adam Page does like a cowboy shit spot, does the same exact thing basically, takes another 3 years to do it, right? And then they start fighting again, right? Then they start exchanging chops, right? This is another 3 minutes of wasted time just exchanging chops, right? Kenny Omega comes in. They start exchanging chops with him. They're just chopping each other. It's the most boring thing I've ever seen in my life, you know? And this, considering the fact that Kenny Omega just, I mean, this guy shouldn't be in tag matches because in singles matches, he already does too many taunts. But in tag matches, he wants to be like, he wants to stand out, like no matter what. I think he's one of these like spotlight hogs. So he just does even more outlandish shit. And this was certainly solidified when he did his little Rise of the Terminator outside dive. And then he ran all the way to where the entrance ramp is, right? All the way. Like he went to like where the curtain is, basically. And JR's like, oh, he likes to run around to the front. Does he? Does he really like to run around to the front? Or is he just a spotlight hog that wants the camera on him at all times? Because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. You know, this was a very, very inappropriate thing to do. Like, he did a dive and then in the middle of the match just runs away and celebrates like he scored a goal in the World Cup or something. You didn't do anything. You did the move you do every week. Why are you overselling the taunt after the move? And why are you even taunting? Stop taunting. Taunting is a thing that should be reserved for like that kind of wrestler. You know what I mean? This all started when Shawn Michaels, like in the mid 2000s, like the Sweet Chin Music became this elaborate setup move, you know? And he never hit it. He would just like stand there and like stomp the ground in the corner and like always miss. You know, he'd always hit it out of nowhere. So since that, this kind of like over-reliance on taunts has gone overboard. You know, like Jericho, for example, is a good wrestler with taunts. Like he'll do like a move and then he'll raise his arm up, right? Like as he's preparing his other move, like a very passive taunt that just says like, yeah, I'm the best. And it's there to get an actual reaction, right? Or he'll do the little backdrop and pin the guy while like hulking up, basically. You know what I mean? Like by flexing his muscles. Like this goes with his character, not these ridiculous like antics that other people like KennyOmega are doing. So this match, in my opinion, was horrible for those reasons. And it ended exactly how anyone would expect it to end. Adam Page and KennyOmega have a miscommunication. Adam Page hits the buckshot lariat on KennyOmega and gets thrown out by the Lucha Cucks, and then they hit the package pile driver double stomp combo and pin KennyOmega. You know, now this like the finish was whatever. You know, I don't really give a rat's ass. I don't even think they should be in the tag team, Adam Page and KennyOmega. But the facts do ultimately speak for themselves. And these great wrestlers like Rey Fenix, supposed to be like one of the best wrestlers, JR even said. He was like, Rey Fenix has been the most impressive guy these last few months. Really? How about Jericho, the champion? Or Riho, who's like undefeated, you know? How about these people? Like why is Pentagon, why is he the most impressive guy? He got pinned by Trent Beretta like two weeks ago. And this most impressive guy, Rey Fenix, at one point takes like a move. I forgot what move he took. He took a move from like Adam Page or KennyOmega. I forget what it is. But I think KennyOmega, he took a Snapdragon from KennyOmega, right? JR's been talking for weeks about how KennyOmega does a Snapdragon better than everybody. He no-sold it, right? And he went to do like a pop-up cutter. Apparently, no one else understood that he was going to do this. So no one was there to receive the cutter. So it was just this huge, flagrant botch. Like, it's one thing, there's different kinds of botches. There's a botch where you try to do the move and you just fail at doing the move, right? You tried your best, you couldn't do it. You're not strong enough to jackhammer someone if you're Goldberg, or you have a concussion, whatever. Try to jackhammer Undertaker, you fuck it up, all right? That's understandable. You tried, you couldn't do it. You know, physically, you couldn't do it. You know, maybe you should like start working out a bit more or do something else. But the point is, you tried, you couldn't do it. And then there's botches like these, right? Which are like ridiculous, you know, like miscommunication type botches where it's like you did a move you weren't supposed to do, and the move was so flashy that trying that move with no target just is retarded. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when Sammy Omega, what the fuck's his name? Sammy Guevara, when he did the shooting star press with the phone just to get super kicked. Like, there was no logic behind the move. So this match, because of that one botch and the 5 to 6 minutes of Cero Miedo taunts and chops, is, in my opinion, like a horrendous match, a horrible way to start the show. And they were putting this show over as if it was like a pay-per-view-esque show, which I understand because like they did build it up, and they did have like not storylines but like mini storylines, right? Where it's like, all right, this like we're gonna have this in 2 weeks, we're gonna have this in 1 week, right? Where there were things to look forward to. So that was a complete like garbage fest in my opinion. Then we had JR during the match was talking about Jungle Boy Jack Perry, and he's like Jungle Jack, Jungle Perry, Jungle Boy, whatever you want to call him. Just say it like it is, JR. You don't give a rat's ass what this guy's called, and Jungle Jack is a better name than Jungle Boy, and that's why JR keeps saying Jungle Jack instead. Now, to be fair, JR has botched people's names all the time. Like, that's like one of the things he does in careers. Like, he'd be like, oh, Matt Hardy, I mean Jeff, I mean Christian, you know what I mean? Like, he does that kind of stuff. So, especially when wrestlers look exactly the same. Or when he doesn't know who the fuck they are, you know? And this was relevant in the next match, which was Butch and Bottom versus CodyRhodes and Darby Allin. Now, I'm going to say something that people here are going to be surprised by. I like Darby Allin, you know? He's a cuck. He's a tiny, tiny guy, but he has discernible characteristics, right? Like, it's silly, it's goofy, he needs to put on some muscle immediately, but the facts are what they are. He's a young guy, he's like 22, he does crazy shit. The coffin drop, even though it's like as a move, like conceptually it's stupid because the guy who's taking it has to pretty much be ready for you to do it. He has to catch you because you can't really coordinate jumping backwards onto somebody. But it is like a badass move in terms of like it's high risk. And it fits his character, both because he's like this I'm already dead inside kind of guy, and because he's like a huge risk taker, and it has a good name. He does a little coffin pose. So, like, I dig it. I dig that. He's small. He has a little flip stunner. I like that, too. More importantly, though, he's just, like, he's different and he's discernible. If he gets rid of the skateboard, gains, like a few pounds, and then does something relevant where he can develop his character, then this guy might have a future, even in NXT, motherfuckers. Now, of course, in NXT, he'll eventually, like, be feuding for the NXT Cruiserweight title against Angel Garza, you understand me? But it is what it is, right? We can't really, like, go further than that with him for now, but he's the one that stood out in this match. CodyRhodes, typical CodyRhodes shit, flashy entrance, inferior performance, honestly, like compared to like other people like Darby Allin. Butcher and Blade were completely buried. They lost the match when Cody did like what's now called the Cody Cutter, apparently, which is like a top rope jumping backwards cutter. I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe he'll stop. He also did the crossroads during the match, but maybe he'll do that less frequently now that MJF is doing it. I don't know. We'll see, right? MJF was nowhere to be seen, by the way, which is a mistake because this is a guy that's like hot now, like, but whatever, right? What else? At some point, JR, like, he referred to Butch as bottom or whatever was it, like the Butcher as the Blade, right? And or whatever, the other way around, maybe the Blade is the Butcher, right? And then he caught himself. And he's like, I should know what his name is because it's written on his ass, right? Which was a little funny. I'm not going to lie. I chuckled at that because just the way he said it, But the point is, Jared doesn't know who these guys are. He's never heard of these guys before in his life. He doesn't give a fuck. Like they tried to play it off as if like JR not knowing who they were was part of the storyline. It wasn't. He literally didn't know who they were, just like everybody else. Nobody knew who these fucks were. So that was that, I guess. The match. It furthered the story of like CodyRhodes and Darby Allin are like pseudo rivals, so they will one day meet again. Was the point they were trying to make? But I didn't like it because it buried Butcher and Blade. Right? If these guys are going to be taken seriously, they should be able to destroy CodyRhodes and Darby Allin. Right? Like it makes no sense. I mean, like I know the tag team scene in AEW is actually pretty good. There's a lot of legit tag teams, and when I say legit tag teams, I mean tag teams that like are actual tag teams, like they feel like tag teams, not like in WWE sometimes when you'll have like Kofi Kingston and Big E, and you're like they're a tag team now, I mean real tag teams, and that's one criticism of wrestling that I have is that what's it called? Tag teams are no longer actual tag teams. They're just these like portmanteaus of two people that have nothing to do, like Beer Money, except Beer Money was actually pretty good. But you know what I mean? Like, they're just thrown together. It's like, oh, you have nothing to do. He has something to do. Oh, let's put them together. Ron Simmons and Devon. What the fuck? Like, Ron Simmons and Devon were both in two superior tag teams. Why the fuck would you team them together, Like, at that point, just team up Bubba Ray and Bradshaw, and now you have two inferior tag teams on your hands. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I like about AEW. So I will say that perhaps the reason why they lost is because there's other tag teams that are going to be pushed, and this was evident later in the night. But we'll get to that in a second. Then we have a package showing Jungle Boy training. This was sick because Jungle Boy was doing a deadlift, and he had 8 plates on the bar, but they were 25-pound plates. So he was deadlifting a maximum of 245 pounds. Now, 245 pounds is not that bad, but it's a lot less than I can deadlift, motherfuckers. And I am not a pro wrestler. I am not a pro athlete. So if you're going to do that, pretend at least, like write a 44 on the plates. Lie. Do what you need to do to make him seem stronger than he is. Like it just made him look like a complete jobber, right? And he was getting ready for his match with Jericho, which was a 10-minute match. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they said at one point that all AEW world title matches are going to be 1 hour, right? And the story here was like, what's his face? Jungle Boy can't last 10 minutes with Jericho. So we're looking forward to that later in the night, I think, motherfuckers. Next, we had Awesome Kong come out with Brandy Rhodes and the other broad whose hair they cut, the Nightmare Collective. They showed a little package of Brandy Rhodes, like just saying some generic, like join, Chris Statlander should join the Nightmare Collective. And there's like this bald guy whose face you don't see, and he's like leaning on Brandy, and she's like, it's okay. Like, who gives a shit? Unless this guy's like Goldust or something, which would be nice because like he would fit in, like he can just go crazy again or something, right? But this is like obviously like a female stable, so I don't know. Anyways, the match ended really quickly. What's her face? Kong hit the implant buster and pinned this nameless jobber immediately, right? Then they cut her hair. Like the bald girl gave Kong a knife. They cut her hair. They left without saying another word. Next, we have Jericho versus Jungle Boy. Jungle Jack, motherfuckers. The match was whatever. It wasn't anything special. The story, usually the story serves to accentuate elements of the match and accentuate the feud. But in this case, it didn't do that at all. In this case, it detracted from it because the story was, can you last 10 minutes? So everything that they were doing was ridiculous. You must do this in 10 minutes. The match ends with Jericho putting Jungle Boy in the walls of Jericho. Jungle Boy lasts the 10 minutes. Jericho goes outside, demands the match, gets restarted, and has 5 minutes. Jungle Boy makes a comeback. Jericho leaves, right? We forget about Jungle Boy after Jericho leaves, right? That's how irrelevant this guy is. He won the match, technically. He won by countout if we are to believe that the match was restarted, right? So now Jericho is no longer undefeated in singles competition. Well, he is undefeated, but he has a tie with Jungle Boy, who's 0-7. So anyways, Jericho just hangs out at the ramp during commercial. Tony Schiavone comes out and says this, that, and that. Jericho's I told you that Jungle Boy couldn't beat me. And he's like, no, fam. He's like, you said that you couldn't last 10 minutes. Jericho's like, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. That nonsense happens for a while. Jericho reminds us all that the Inner Circle invited Dean Ambrose to be part of the Inner Circle. Dean Ambrose isn't there. No one gives a shit. Obviously, he's going to say no. It's so stupid. He's obviously going to say no. Why are they even pushing this any longer than it has to be pushed? There's going to be no AEW next week because it's Christmas. So I guess that's kind of good. Let these people go home for Christmas. I know that was a big deal a few years ago in WWE because Christmas fell on a Monday. But whatever, I'm sure there'll be NXT, motherfuckers. I'm sure NXT will win the ratings battle that week. So anyways, what else? As Jericho's leaving, JR says, oh, Jericho didn't win, but he is still El Champion. El Champion? It's not El Champion, it's Le Champion. And it's one thing, if you can't pronounce Le Champion, say Le Champion or Le Champion or however the fuck they say it, right? Don't say El Champion or El Champion or whatever the fuck he said. L is not, it's literally completely wrong. It's L-E, not L-E-L, right? Just fucking try, JR. He doesn't give a shit, man. He's just there. He's like, yo, give me my check, and I'll come out here and I'll pretend that I like Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix, and then I'll take my money and leave. That's all he's doing. He doesn't even care enough to learn El Champion and Butcher and Blade. Everyone, as soon as you saw Butcher and Blade, you're like, oh, the Butcher is the big guy, and the Blade is the little guy. The Butcher is the guy that could conceivably be a butcher, and the Blade is a guy who considerably could be a cuck. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. That's my little thing on JR right there. Next, we had Chris Statlander, who is now the number 2 contender because she's 2-0. She's won 2 matches and is number 1 contender. That's what this industry is all about, right? And I've only seen one of her matches. The other one must have been on AEW Dark. So she wrestles Britt Baker. This actually wasn't completely horrible. I'm going to be honest. At some point, JR and Excalibur start talking about JR's barbecue, and JR's apparently he also has mustard now, right? JR's like, oh, if you have time, go buy tickets to AEW. And if you also have time, go buy some barbecue sauce. He does not give one solitary fuck about AEW. So, yeah, with that being said, Excalibur was like, yeah, JR's barbecue sauce is great. They had a little conversation about that. Beyond that, the match was all right because the finish was cool, I thought. Britt Baker not locks in, but she gets in the Gargano escape, which for her it's called a lockjaw. And before she could put the fingers in the mandible claw position, Chris Statlander just powers her. It was actually very impressive because even though Britt Baker is 100 pounds, still, she picked her up and then transitioned her to a fireman's carry and then transitioned her into a little crunchy / tombstone pile driver and hit her finishing move, which apparently is called the Big Bang Theory, motherfuckers, because she thinks she's an alien. She comes out to do an interview with Tony Schiavone. He's like, oh, how do you feel about this? She touches her nose, touches his nose, because that's how aliens communicate, according to Excalibur. That was fucking stupid. Brandy Rhodes comes out, says, are you going to join or are you not going to join? What's up with everybody here just getting people to join shit? You want to join the Inner Circle, you want to join Nightmare Collective, join the Dark Order. How about go join a fucking stool and a rope and go kill yourselves, motherfuckers? So anyways, she says no by touching her own nose and then trying to go to touch Brandy's nose, but instead she just wiggles her finger. She waves her finger, suggesting no. The lackeys come out, Awesome Kong and the other one, Melanie Cruz, I think her name is. They distract Chris Statlander, who turns around and gets hit with a stiletto heel, quote unquote, in the eye. So she's selling her injury. Sadie Gibbs, who I forgot exists, comes out and is taking care of her. What the fuck? She's an alien. Why are you friends? But anyways, it is what it is, right? What else did we have? After that, we had the main event, motherfuckers. That's right, the main event. It was SCU versus the Young Cucks. Before the match, SCU with Daniels are standing outside, and Pentagon and what's his face, Ray Phoenix, come out. Lucha Bros, Mexican, Zero Miedo, once again. Lucha Bros. It makes me want to cough and throw up. What a shitty theme song that is. Think about it. Lucha Bros, Mexican, Zero Miedo, like once again or whatever. Who gives a fuck? They come out. Pentagon says something in English that I don't understand. Pretty much showing Daniels a video saying like, you don't got it anymore or something. But he said something. He said like 7 words. I understood none of them. So I think he said like, you don't have it anymore. And Frank Kazarian picks up on the fact that no one understood what the fuck this guy said. It says, oh, he doesn't have it anymore? CD, Christopher Daniels. Tell him that you got it. Daniels goes to face Pentagon and then walks away like disheveled, basically, like, oh my god, like not disheveled, dejected, I guess was the word I'm looking for. And he's like, oh, like, maybe I don't have it anymore. Go fuck yourself. Afterwards, they go to commercial, and it shows Christopher Daniels, who's now already in a good mood again, hyping up SCU. So whatever, man, whatever, let it be, right? The match starts. The Young Bucks come out, and we just have to hear from other promo how the Young Bucks are like this great tag team, whatever, who cares. This match was completely useless. SCU wins with the SCU later. I don't want to say that was surprising, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Young Bucks won. But then what happened was Dark Order comes out, Stu Grayson's wearing a coat, and Evil Uno is wearing a suit. I like this. This segment was good. I really enjoyed it because, first of all, Evil Uno, not based on his in-ring skills or his abilities, but based on the fact that he's the one with a suit, and he's the leader, the preacher guy in Dark Order. This would be more conducive to being a single star, right? A guy that just wins his matches by interference or something like that, right? But he's in a tag team. So it is what it is. They come out, they tell the Young Bucks that any other night, I guess they also tell SCU, whatever. They tell them, they're like, any other night, we would ask you to join the Dark Order. But tonight is not like a joining, it's an initiation. And then like the cucks, whatever the fuck they're called, the weird ones, they come out, they surround the ring. There's like 20 of them, right? And they attack the Young Bucks and SCU. After that, KennyOmega comes to make the save, gets cucked as well after hitting a knee. Even in this situation, he has to hit like a special move, basically, right? They whoop his ass. Cody and Goldust come out. They whoop their ass, right? And amongst them are Alex Reynolds and what's the other guy's name? I forget his fucking name. John Silver and Alex Reynolds, I think. Those two jobbers that like watch the Join the Dark Order thing in their hotel rooms. They come out with no masks, so they whoop everyone's ass. And then in the end, Evil Uno gives them both masks. So they have joined the Dark Order now. Evil Uno takes a seat on a human stool, right? And they start chanting like, we are one. I like this. I like this because number one, it puts them over as like a serious threat. And in the first match, I think it was, they had like this little technical malfunction where like Evil Uno appeared on the screen for a second. It was kind of goofy, but it worked in the context of the show because now we take these guys as like serious, like we'll whoop your ass, like just because we feel like it type dudes, right? It fits their character. It's better than cutting someone's hair and hitting them with a heel in the face. It's also very similar to that, but it's better. Like Evil Uno in a suit, and based on like the promos, he feels like a preacher, like one of those like charismatic preacher types. Now he's not very charismatic himself because at the end of the day, he's a fat guy in a mask. But you understand what I'm saying? Like there was some elements of good in this show, and this was one of them. Now, it seemed like the fight they were picking was against the Young Bucks. Should they go after the tag team champions? They've been winning, so go after the tag champs, But other than that, it was a good segment. Was it a good way to end the show, especially a show that's considered to be like pay-per-view worthy? Of course not. The show should have ended with Jericho as the champion, but how can you end it with Jericho when he's wrestling Jungle Jack Boy Perry, the cuck? So I don't know, man. The show was all right, I guess. I haven't watched NXT today because I was at home. I didn't go to that place that I usually watch it at, which is good because I got to hear all the fantastic promos tonight, which there were zero of. But yeah, that's what I got to say about that. And What do we have on the horizon? I said I was going to talk about some character stuff. Yeah, Darby Allin has a character or has some characteristics. He doesn't have like a legitimate character, but he has differentiators, like I said. Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, the Dark Order as a whole, has something there. You can make that by that logic, I guess. Brandy has she's trying something different. She's at least trying. Butcher and Blade have nothing going for them. And then everybody else, honestly, has not even a character. Maybe MJF, maybe Jon Moxley. That's it. Everyone else is just a wrestler, man. Even Jericho, he's just a wrestler. Like, he's not really like anything special or different. Like, for all the talk about Jericho reinventing himself, he really hasn't reinvented himself in AEW. He's just Jericho, you know? So it was what it was. Look forward to my next video, which likely will be 25 reasons why Jinder Mahal kicks ass. I might tape it today, and I might submit it tomorrow or something, just so people have something to look forward to up in this bitch. All right, motherfuckers, I'm sure you will hear from me before Christmas, but if you don't, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, cocks!